let's get into the Jerry Dipoto press conference disaster. And boy, was that press conference a disaster. The notable things he said, and we'll go over it one by one. Let's start with when Jerry Dipoto was like, he wasn't sure about the whole, when he was asked about the free agency, where he was like, yeah, well, whatever Cal says, like, there's not much we can do. I don't really expect to go for big names. There's other ways to do it. I mean, that one, I didn't really bag on him that hard about it because it's like, you couldn't really answer the question because it's one of those things where you don't want to pull your cards out and go, oh, yeah, we're going to get Shohei Ohtani. We're going to get Cody Bellinger. We're going to spend a lot of money. Yeah, and then you're going to that'll basically cause like a bidding war with basically everyone because for someone that works in that kind of business, you don't want to show your cards. You don't want to tell even that person how much you're offering yet. You just do it on paper. So I didn't really think much of it. Like, what did you think of it when he was like, oh, yeah, well, there's not much I could really do. It's like, it was one of those, it was a kind of an unnecessary question to answer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But he still has to do something.
Yeah. Some of the stuff like in the press conferences gets overblown. Like you said, he's not going to go up there and be like, hey, let me tell you our offseason plan right now. And here's what we're doing. We're going to go get this guy. We're going to go get that guy. So, you've got to keep some things close. I wasn't, the only issues I had with the press conference was the tone. I didn't mind anything he said. And here's the thing, like, we want them to go in and try and get Ohtani and some other names. There is no guarantee you can get those guys. Like, you may be like, Shohei, we'll give you more money. He may sit there like, I want to stay and play for the Dodgers. Nothing you can do about it. So you can't sit there and say like, oh, we want this guy. There's no guarantees you're going to get him. And you got to keep, like Trevor says in the chat, there's like a poker thing. You got to keep it close to the vest and everything like that. So it was really just for me, the tone, and then the comment about, doing the fans a favor, which he took back the next day. So the stuff he said about the team. Oh, and then the other thing that bothered me a little bit was saying like this season was a step forward. I'm not saying there were some positives in the organization. If he would have worded it and said, hey, this was not what we wanted to do, we took a step back this year, there were some organizational positives, I would have had no problem with that statement. But just to say it was a step forward, and that was like the first line of the press conference, it's like, no,
not a good way to start that, buddy. No,
it was not a step forward. Last year, playoffs. This year, no playoffs. Simple, to the point.
Yeah, and Reflect the Sun, this is just going off of the whole Shohei Ohtani. She says, I mean, who has great ROI skills and spreadsheet skills? Ohtani signing on tickets and merch sales alone would cover that signing, which is very possible. And not only that, you'll get the Japanese fan base to be traveling all the way to America just to watch Shohei Ohtani. And maybe we'll have that Shohei Ohtani meter of counting the home runs or anything like that. Just like I don't think they'll
exactly. I don't think I'm not saying they're going to get Ohtani. I don't know, but that is the one reason I could see Stanton and the ownership group being interested in Ohtani, because he's more than just a player. He's going to, like, there are very few players in this league that drive merch and ticket sales, because even the best you could sign, the Mariners could go out and get Mookie Betts and Ronald Acuna next year. If you don't win games, fans will not show up. But Ohtani is a little bit different. He is the one guy that is, regardless of winning, going to bring some butts literally into the seats. So I'm hoping, and even though that's maybe the wrong reasons for the ownership group to do it, that they see that and are willing to throw a lot of money at Ohtani.
I mean, if they're willing to do it, then so be it. And also, I am perfectly fine with him not pitching next season. It's like he's going to go into that second half of his career, so it's like just like Babe Ruth, he gave up pitching for a point, and if it means just to get his offense as a DH, fine. Let's do it. Let's get him hopefully the 30-plus home runs, maybe 40 every single year, even if it means to sacrifice pitching, which theoretically he would have to give up for 2024, but I don't think any of us would mind because we do have a good starting rotation, and you don't want to put on the wear and tear like that on Ohtani, where you make him a hitter and a pitcher. That's a lot. Like when you're throwing like really like 90 something mile an hour fastballs and you're hitting, that's got to put wear and tear. I mean, it's one thing to be a fielder and you're throwing like Ichiro, but to do it like constantly, it's like, how does he even hit 46 home runs with a bad arm, something like that? And yeah, and now that you pretty much covered like all those things one by one, the 54%, I wasn't terribly bothered, but when you don't know your crowd, you're gonna get that easily misinterpreted. But I did not like where he was like, well, there's seasons where you might win 60%, or there's seasons where you might win just 50%. Yeah, well, that will just be 54%. But if it's 50%, you're 81 and 81 and not making the playoffs. So not the best use of words on that one. And you just caused someone to make merchandise off of it. Another one, we are doing the fan base a favor, asking for patience. He didn't do me a favor by missing the playoffs. And to ask for patience, yeah, let's ask.
He saved me, I guess. Saved me some stress of watching playoff games.
I guess that's a good one. So, I mean, I thought I was gonna get a heart attack after that J.P. Crawford game-winning double, and I really was feeling it. So I guess he did me a favor on that. So yes, thank you, Jerry Dipoto. Thank you for saving me stress and having a stress-free week. Because, and thank you for making my scheduling life a whole lot easier. You did me a favor. So I think my heart right here thanks you for that. It really does. But other than that, no, go get a winner. And plus, don't ask me to be patient, because I've seen a near World Series team with this Mariners team. I was somewhat old enough to remember 95, at least enough where I saw my family, at least my father, my grandpa going nuts, and all I saw was Griffey being tackled. I was like, man, why are they tackling him? What do they do? And I was old enough for 2000 run, 2001, but because of that, the bar is still there for me. I can't just be okay with like a 2022 run. It was exciting. It was a relief, but I expect more after that. The bar goes up, and us fans should be expecting more, not just, oh, at least we tried. Oh, yeah, we just got to believe in the team. Yeah, we were told to do that throughout Bavasi, throughout Jack Sorenzik, first half of Jerry Dipoto. No thanks. Let's get a winner in there. So did not like that. 54%, doing the fan base a favor. I think those were like the real notable ones, but we can all conclude that he pretty much, I guess he showed up like, maybe he was just frustrated, so he just had to vent. He did apologize, but the only way Jerry Dipoto can really apologize is to make those big moves and help win the World Series. Because how about this, Jerry? You apologize, right? I'm not going to accept it. But if the Mariners win the World Series during your time, I'll accept your apology. I think that's a fair deal. Because after all, actions speak louder than words.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to end the take on the press conference. Like, at the end of the day, if they win the World Series next year, nobody's going to remember this press conference or care. If they lose and they don't get in, then nobody's still going to care, because they're going to want these guys gone. So once the dust settles, nothing really matters that was said. I think everything you said was spot on. I think the 54% comment, when you look at the context of what he was saying, he was talking about the 10 years. And if you do look at it, the teams that average 54% are the elite teams. He wasn't saying 54% 1 year, and that makes sense, but he had to conclude it with and to be honest, we're doing you guys a favor. And you already touched on it, but it's just like, Jerry, why even add that part? I mean, like you said, know your audience. That everything they said, if they want to say that behind closed doors, then I'm fine with it. Like, they can have that mentality. But when you're going out to a fan base like the Mariners that is starving for a winner more than maybe any fan base, and truthfully any sport to an extent, coming off a playoff year, it's just a bad look. And then, like you said, the bar gets raised. One thing I said in my post game after the Astros game 3 last year was 2022 was a lot of fun, and it was amazing to see them break that drought. But next year, you've got to get better. It's not about just, playoffs, yay, we got in, which I was like that. But now it's time to go win the whole thing. And they didn't.
Yeah, and what also bothered me at the start of the season, they changed up the banner, the banner in right field. So you may have remembered that So there's the white ones, like division champions, 95, 97, 2001. We all know that. There was also the blue banner where it said American League Championship Series 95, 2000, and 2001. They then replaced it with wild card appearances 2000 and 2022. It's like, what is this? No, bring it back. The league championship series, because you gotta set that standard. And plus, if you make the wild card every year, that's gonna be one big banner that's gonna go all the way down to the seats. And that's gonna turn into a new hit it here banner.
Well, and it's going to become a joke too. I mean, listen, get in. I'm all for playoffs. I have no problem. I want them to listen. Like, I'll never not root for them to get in, even if it's winning a wild card at 80 wins. Like, I'm going to root for them to get in. But it's just they've got to take that next step. They've got to go win the AL West, and they were close. They got closer this year, but unfortunately, and while Houston maybe took a bit of a step back to the pack, Texas jumped you. And for, people can say for the reasons and whatever, but that they did. So now you've got to figure it out. And the proof, like you said, proof is in the pudding. You've got to put out a winner. And if Jerry and Justin can't do that, you go get someone that hopefully can with this ownership and figure it out.